In this rough neighborhood, actual threats loom every day, and even seemingly insignificant choices can have grave effects. The Chi is back for its sixth season, where lovers discover what happens when the honeymoon expires and real life begins, and hustlers learn that greater wealth equals greater difficulties. Even after the conclusion of Episode 6, Pastor Jackson's passing was unexpected. The events of Episode 7 unfold in the aftermath of his death, where we are introduced to a bereaved papa who finds it difficult to process his thoughts. He strikes out at Bakari because of his association with Douda, the person behind Pastor Jackson's murder, since either Nuck or Zay are involved. Kenya is just trying her hardest to support him through this difficult moment when he snaps at her. Finally, Papa gathers himself to give a moving eulogy at Pastor Jackson's funeral that genuinely pays tribute to his father. He also expressed his affection for Bakari. And for Kenya? We'll have to wait and see how that turns out the following week. In another scene, Kevin gets ready to leave to Los Angeles, and while packing, he has a meaningful talk with Emmett. Speaking of Emmett, he and Keisha are getting closer to breaking point as she insists that he immediately find a way to sever all links with Douda, fearing the worst for her family in the wake of Pastor Jackson's passing. In therapy, Keisha also makes a significant discovery on the significance of her controlling behaviors and her mother's parenting philosophy. After Pastor Jackson, whom Bakari looked up to as a father, passed away, he was left to pick up the pieces of his life. It seems like his collaboration with Douda may soon come to an end. Last but not least, there's a developing schism in Maisha and Gemma's musical relationship, and Gemma has developed a taste for the rapper Jana, Bakari's sister. Jake is uneasy, though, because Jana might have different plans with Gemma. Here are some of the most important lessons we learned from Long Live, the 7th episode of Season 6. Sadly, death frequently has the power to inspire an individual or group of individuals to undertake long overdue changes. In a speech given at his father's funeral, Papa considers the impact his father had on him, as seen in the most recent episode of The Chi. Though it's not officially stated, it's widely accepted that Douda is to blame for Pastor Jackson's demise, and it seems like it went too far, with many people now saying enough is enough. Keisha is now in a severe need of separation from Douda, and Emmett needs to work quickly to make that happen. It appears that Bakari is prepared to break away from Douda and his group. Victor is undoubtedly going to make a move as well. This community let Douda do as he pleased, and they just had to deal with the fallout. However, it appears that everyone has reached a breaking point, which is fantastic for everyone else and bad for Douda. Both Emmett and Bakari are preparing to leave Douda, with Bakari's departure occurring immediately after Pastor Jackson's passing. After receiving the news, Bakari threatens Nuck with a gun, since he knows that either Zay or Nuck had anything to do with it. They came to an arrangement to part ways as long as Emmett can afford to buy himself out of Douda's contract, which will be extremely expensive for Emmett, as part of his plan to escape Douda. In the end, in order to escape Douda, Emmett and Bakari will each need to make significant sacrifices and take equal risks. Emmett will have to repay the money in full, and Bakari will either have to battle his way out of it or finish a very dangerous mission. If freedom is really what they want, then one or the other better be prepared to go to any lengths to achieve it. This episode was a significant therapeutic turning point for Keisha. After consulting with her therapist, she and her partner determined that her father's decision-making dominance in the home, along with his disregard for her mother's wishes, is the root of her need for control. Despite her current happiness and love for Keisha and Kevin, Keisha's mother was not interested in having children when she was younger, which is another unpleasant fact that she must face. Coming full circle to the idea of control, Keisha sees that this same control manifests itself in her relationship with Emmett in a variety of ways, but mostly it seems to be for her own survival. She still has trauma from the kidnapping, which was one of the last times she didn't have control over her life. As a result, she must make sure she has some control over her daily activities to make sure she doesn't put herself in danger of being abducted again. That subject is difficult because of Douda, which is why she gave Emmett the assignment to handle it as soon as possible. She takes matters into her own hands and meets with Nuck when it appears that he isn't moving forward quickly enough. Emmett is not pleased with this decision, and Keisha doesn't appear to be bothered by it. They'll both quickly learn that, as Keisha's therapist pointed out, they're most in control when they can collaborate and are on the same page. Victor is prepared to become a parent. He aspires to advance their connection because he is deeply in love with Fatima. Before asking her, he gets advice from her friends, and when he does, she's a little surprised by what he says. She's always wanted a family and never imagined that the chance to start one would come up. She's ready, but she has some questions for Victor. She questions him about the FBI's investigation into Key's death and whether or not his political job will interfere with his capacity to raise their future child and be an involved and supportive partner. Rejecting the probe and promising her that it won't interfere with his political career, Victor, in all honesty, doesn't seem to have given fatherhood much thought. While it is commendable that he wants to take his relationship with Fatima to the next level, the desire alone is insufficient. To make sure that becoming a parent does not become a hardship for either Victor or Fatima, some amount of planning and preparation must be in place.